Hello everyone and welcome back to Stronghold. In the last episode we jebbed our way through the pig's fortress and finally roasted him once and for all. This time we'll be taking on the wolf with me, the doctor.
Me, the sprite.
And I, the bard.
Mission 19, penning in the wolf.
Oh. We haven't really... Well, we've seen quite a bit of the wolf. He's in armour that's way too late for the time period that he's running around in, but sure.
Who's he even going to be talking to now? All his allies are dead.
He's pretty sinister.
He's literally just wolf off of Gladiators.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, so long arm looks pretty sinister to me.
My finest apothecary.
I thought you said there were no healer units.
There aren't any healer units.
Do you have any fire or...
Pen the wolf in by reinforcing the defensive fort we started on the edge of his territory, then let his men come to you. They will likely try to infect your people with disease, so make sure you have contingencies in place for the arrival. That's what apothecaries do. Use swordsmen and mangonels to your best advantage.
Ooh!
And the real goal here is the mangonels, not the swordsmen. Fuck the swordsmen. So we've
Depends
got
how
this
cute
little... good lord. Got this little thing. We've got time until the last battle.
Oh!
And the enemy is going to come from wherever the signpost is. This is a very small level. Oh, the signpost is there. Cool. Mangonels are super duper important because they have unlimited ammunition. so I'm going to be using them quite a lot.
Dang!
They don't, unlike catapults, due to what I believe was an oversight in the original game, which they still haven't corrected, they don't use ammunition. But it seems to have built the castle for me that seems to go... Oh, look, round towers as well. Got everything.
Most impressive.
So I'm going to build a round tower as far out as I can on this and literally just make it its own little tower with a little access thing. And this is just going to be a mangonel tower, which is going to be... Can we do a baluster yet? We can do a baluster as well.
Oh, yes.
So baluster is basically a giant mounted crossbow. So yes, please, have some conversations, guys, while I set all of this up.
I was going to say, can I finally talk about all the things I wanted to say in the previous episode that we couldn't say because we didn't know if it was going to be edited out. So I've done a bunch of reading about crossbows and how they're a lot more complicated than I maybe made out in some earlier recordings.
Okay.
So apparently, we spoke about how
oh shit, a knight!
Stopping power. Ooh, Kniggets.
Oh, he's also... You know what he is? Mangonel fodder. He's not quite in range.
I was going to say...
He will be in time.
Just hit his horse with a stone.
Yeah.
He's nay chance.
Aye.
Jesus Christ, Bard.
I'm not
more
proud.
of that, please.
Actually, no, I am
be.
proud of that.
You've done fine work.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, anyway, I gave the impression in the earlier videos that a crossbow has more stopping power than, for example, a longbow. And I would be forgiven for thinking so. So there are medieval crossbows that have got, let me get this right, like an 800-pound draw weight. So there's 800 pounds worth of force taught in the string of the crossbow.
Which is insane when you think about it.
Oh, it's mental. And presumably when you release the crossbow, I intuitively thought that there was 800 pounds of force go into firing the bolt. Is that the night already?
Yeah. Ballista kills basically anything in one solid hit. It just takes forever to load and fire.
He wasn't very effective at all, that Knigget.
Yeah, they're not... To say how difficult they are to produce, they're not a very good unit, honestly. Because they require, a lot of effort to produce and maintain. They can't go up walls or anything like that. They're not great. These bloody archers in the trees are being a real bitch, though.
I'll come back to the knights later on when you have Knights, Doctor. But yeah, so an 800-pound draw weight crossbow, for example, apparently has about the same actual stopping power as a 160-pound longbow. The reason being that the longbow's got a much more efficient transferal of force between letting go of the longbow and the arrow flying through the air.
Yeah.
So more of the longbow's captured energy, if you like, from the string is transferred into the velocity of the arrow.
But that energy has to come from your man's arm rather than...
At the time, where the crossbow
you can basically keep wound as the strength of it.
Precisely. Yeah. And as we've talked about at length in earlier videos, is that you don't need to be a trained athlete and professional soldier to use a crossbow, whereas you need to be someone who's trained for years before you can even contemplate drawing a 160-pound longbow.
I saw the other day, Sprite, make a note and I'll try and put this in, a skeleton of a longbowman, and it's fucked up. His whole torso, he stands leaning back,
Yeah.
His hips are tiny compared to like his shoulders. It's such a bizarre bit of kind of physiognomy, which I believe is the technical term.
Yeah, it's really bizarre because like you intuitively think like an 800-pound drawweight crossbow and a 160-pound drawweight longbow. You're like, oh well, it's 4 times as powerful.
Yeah.
The crossbow's just better, right? But the longbow shoots faster because like think how long it takes to wind back or deploy an 800-pound crossbow, and this thing would be massive and heavy and expensive. And apparently, so much of the draw weight on the crossbow goes into like bending back the string and like actually contorting the wooden beams that like make up the cross bit.
Yeah,
of the
longbows have got a lot
and...
more flex to them. That's like if they're made properly out of like yew or something like that, they flex and store that really well. But then when they unflex, as the two arms flex back together, that transfer goes back into the string.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't even pretend to understand the physics. You've got a very good grasp of this, Doctor, being a scientist. But basically, a crossbow is far more inefficient when it comes to the transferal of energy than a longbow
I can
is.
see that.
But I was also learning about Chinese crossbows.
Ah,
so
yes, the Chukonu, the repeating crossbow.
Yeah, so like they had crossbows that could fire like something ridiculous like 10 times a minute.
It's
like,
wild.
Basically, like a magazine. And this is like I want to say like the 2nd century AD, like way before anybody else had tech like this.
Yeah.
Like there was basically a magazine of crossbow bolts, and when you fired the first one, the next one would drop down into the firing mechanism, and you would just rack the crossbow and shoot again.
They were insane.
Absolutely dynamite. They also had like multi-directional crossbows that could fire up to like 7 bolts at once. It's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
All right, let's
One thing about the crossbow as well is you can preload it by using your whole body. You don't have to use your arm.
Yeah, you can brace it with your foot and stuff like that. Which
Yeah.
a lot of them do. And they just don't need. They need way less training. Like you can, like not to say they're not simpler in a sense, but they are a bit more point and shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an ancient Greek variant of the crossbow, which are massive. They're almost like
Oh shit,
man-sized
trebuchets!
crossbows. Oh my god! Oh, well, you're gonna destroy
Oh yeah,
them.
we haven't seen a trebuchet
Not
before,
before
obviously. So trebuchets are much more powerful than a catapult in this, but obviously the drawback is they can't fucking move. And you send a couple of knights in as well. I'm basically putting all of my defensive forces into just building towers and siege equipment, because if you're defending a point, they're free, basically. So why would you not?
Interestingly, in the time period that you're at, so like the game now says this is happening in 1302.
Yep.
So you're actually right on the very advent of plate armor replacing chainmail as the primary means that you would arm yourself or armor yourself going out into battle.
Well, that makes sense because that's where we've just got to that point. Yes. And the knights have got that, and the swordsmen are the model of the swordsman is exactly the same as a knight. He's just on horseback. Ooh. Okay, we've done a bit of damage to us there. Did I put this on easy or not? I meant to.
Yes, you did.
Good. I certainly meant to.
Yeah.
I should.
I
should have the whole time been making armor and weapons, and I haven't been doing so, which is
Foolish.
a bit foolish of me.
This is a pretty mighty fortress
Yeah.
they're giving you,
I
right?
say
off the
when
bat.
they said like started off, I thought I'd have to do frankly more than I have done. So, like realistically, they've got bows and arrows, but they're not going to do a lot.
I take it that so the swordsmen are basically just dismounted
Yes.
knights.
So they're very slow,
But
as you can see. They're powerful, and like as you can see, they
Yeah.
can put some hurt into structures, which makes sense from a game balance viewpoint, not so much from a realistic viewpoint. But
No. They do behave broadly like... So basically the only reason you would dismount as a knight in actual combat, so like, is if the terrain that you are about to fight on is unfavourable to horses. So like, if you're gonna fight in a forest, which almost never happened, or like you were on marshy or boggy ground where your horse would get stuck in the mud and fall over and break legs and stuff. Because if a horse breaks a leg, it's basically finished.
I've seen the Grand National. I know how it goes. I believe
There's a difference between Grand National and other things. Like, you're not looking for the fastest ever, but you are looking for a strong, sturdy thing. And okay, horses can't really survive a broken leg, but war horses.
Not much could survive a broken leg. Actually, it turns out.
Yeah.
Humans can't without, medicine and intervention.
Help.
Well, no, without being looked after while they're unable.
Exactly. Yeah. I assume you've seen that thing about like that's arguably the first signs of civilization you see in the archaeological record are humans with like a healed femur, and it's like there is no way that could possibly happen without you being looked after by someone else, and that is arguably the first sign of a civilization is that starts to appear in the archaeological record.
That communal living.
Which is very cool.
Yeah.
But horses lack this, so they basically, if you're going to be fighting a marshy, boggy, uneven ground, you would reasonably dismount from your horse as a knight and go in on foot. The other time you would do it is that, whilst we've talked how plate armor basically makes you impervious to all but longbows at short range, and even then, plate armor makes you impervious to lots of shots from longbows, because only some shots from some longbows some of the time can penetrate some plate armor. You would basically dismount because your horse is super vulnerable to arrows because it's not wearing armor.
Well, barding is a thing. You would know
yeah,
as the
some of
bard,
them
but...
would be.
It is, but apparently, like, it was so prohibitively expensive, and it made,
that would be reserved for
especially
basically nobility and that. Well, not that, I mean, horses were generally anyway, but even on top of that, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the super wealthy. So most of the surviving sets of like, horse armor that we've got are for like kings and emperors and like stuff like that. Because, I mean, it's really expensive to just afford a war horse.
I learned recently that like medieval horses. There was an interesting paper out which suggested from like bone analysis that medieval war horses were nowhere near as big as people would think. That they were
More like ponies.
large ponies and heavily built and stuff like that. But we think of the war horses of like the First World War when and like Charge of the Light Brigade kind of era where they would be gigantic beasts. But actually,
So we're clear. Not all of us think that. And second of all, Bard, have you seen the Leeds Royal Armoury's examples of elephant and horse armour?
the elephant armor there is one of the most insane things I've seen in my life.
Still great.
I have actually, because you guys actually took me when I was in Leeds
Good.
once.
I needed to check
Yeah.
that because I'm like,
It's one of... I really like the whole way that museum is laid out, and one of the things it does really well is that you don't know you're about to reach the entire life-size diorama of a fighting elephant in armor with men on its back until you round a corner and it's just there, and you get very much the kind of holy shit effect that one gets from coming around the corner and seeing a fully armored war elephant where you're like, what the fuck, that's one of the most terrifying things I've seen in my life.
Are war elephants a feature of the sequel, the
They
Crusader
are
game?
not, unfortunately. The core
it turns
units
out-
don't really change.
It turns out that elephants, like even in ancient warfare, when they were used by like the Persians and Indians, we know this. I know this specifically from Alexander the Great's conquests. But elephants aren't great fighting creatures.
No, they're good for spooking
'cause,
horses,
like,
though.
yeah, exactly. The main effect of an elephant is that if there's horses around it that are unused to elephants, they are shit scared of them. 'Cause who wouldn't
Yeah,
be?
understandably. Turns out a really great counter to elephants is pigs covered in pitch and set on fire. Which is unfortunate, but it does work.
what the heck?
Blame, not Hannibal, whoever Hannibal was up against.
None of Hannibal's elephants made it.
Scipio.
Yeah, but it's someone like that, but certainly, I think it was, Scipio Africanus or someone in that kind of era that realised that, pigs running around screaming on fire understandably scare the shit out of an elephant, as they do about a lot of men.
You've read the second book of the Warlord Chronicles, haven't you, Doctor? Then you also know how to deal with war dogs.
What, bitches in heat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Terrific. Bitches be crazy.
We don't say that.
Crazy hot. Was that a bad thing to say? Sorry.
I know you're joking, but the viewer does not.
Oh, okay. I'm joking, viewership.
So, we're getting towards this last
I just-
battle where the wolf's going to send his things on, but I'm hoping to have a decent bit of moat built by then. As you can see, we're digging it over here, so... I've only got 5 archers, and that's all my moat digging, but I think I'm pretty confident that we'll be fine. It's nice to have the
Again,
peaceful
you start with
music
You start with a very mighty fortress.
I really thought I was going to have to do more reinforcing and more. I've only done a little bit of management. Annoyingly, it has a decent wheat supply, but didn't have any mills or bakeries. I assumed, it has wheat farms, so it'll have everything it needs to produce bread. Wrong. But we are doing all right. And if should they get in for any reason, we have got swordsmen here now.
We salute you.
So,
It's rare, but sometimes when you send them to attack an enemy, they go, eat steel! And it's very funny.
that's very cool. Now that we're back on the swordsman, so like basically horses don't typically wear armor, and if you do, you're in the tiny minority of people fighting that would have had armored horses. And like the reason for this is just prohibitively expensive, and horses are really big, obvious, easy targets who aren't very well armored. So even though the guy riding the horse might be fundamentally immune to arrows, his horse is not.
And also, if I send you that thing ever, if I've not, I meant to have the soldiers' gear throughout the years, and one part of it is at some point everyone just carried a 6 like 8-inch diameter by like 3-foot long stake, and it turns out that if enough men just stick those into the ground, you just make a wall of stakes, and no horse will touch that because they're not stupid.
Yeah.
They'll just be like, nope, not going into that. It's like the whole thing of like basically like for a while like the kind of Saxon shield wall was really effective against heavy horses because no horse would charge a wall of spears because that's insane.
Yeah. Correct. It's also why in the late medieval period, so like much later than this, we're talking like into the 15th century and beyond, it's the lands connect and similar like professional mercenaries who are basically pikemen, because obviously a big long spiky thing is effectively great against cavalry.
The greatest of the military maneuvers, the Swiss pike square, which is basically a 10 by 10 grid of lads with pikes pointing forwards and out at all sides. Turns out, fuck all you can do against that. That dominated the battlefield for a good 150 years.
Till cannon
basically
became more effective.
Oh, that's quite a lot of people.
That's alright.
Yeah, I don't think he can really do actually anything against me. Honestly, the only thing I'm concerned about is the archers, who actually can put a decent bit of hurt into my ballistas. But we will just pick one off comfortably with every shot from our own ballistas, so...
I was reading about ancient Greek siege engines that used to have, like, different sizes of crossbow at every level of the tower.
Jesus.
So like the bottom level of the siege tower would have like a firing station basically with a giant ballista crossbow inside it, and then a slightly smaller one to fly up, and then a slightly smaller one to fly above that, and then just some man portable crossbows in the top level, and that's wild.
Oh, it's just like a shrinking concentric rings of ranged fuckery.
Crossbows. And apparently, because so much Greek writing comparatively came down to us that really good accounts of like the siege of Rhodes, I think it is, where like we hear about these siege engines that have got just layers of crossbows inside them.
What the fuck have they got? What's hitting my gates? Have they got a catapult somewhere? Oh no, shit! Whoops, guys, you idiots! Stop! The mangonels hit my own fucking walls. The fanny. Oh no! I did all that to myself because he's trying to hit those macemen, which is understandable but deeply stupid.
He's just so spirited.
Just trying to hit them with rocks. Oh dear me. The macemen with the only real threat because they're the only unit he's got that can dig moats. Because swordsmen can't dig moats.
In fairness, like his swordsmen are doing the intelligent thing, which is to get off their horses and try and engage you on foot. So I've talked about it earlier.
He's holding a couple of knights back. That's basically it.
Like a really famous example where French knights dismounted to fight the English because they had so many longbows is the Battle of Agincourt.
Yes, the classic.
Where famously the French dismount because they've learned from previous battles. I think it's Tressé is the big famous one. Or is it Poitiers? There's a previous battle where French cavalry gets wiped out by English concentrated arrow fire from longbows. Yeah. And they learned enough that, like, you know, maybe we shouldn't lead all of our horses to die to arrow fire. So they get off, but like the ground is so muddy and boggy, they make very little progress. Lots of them die to arrows, and the French lose the Battle of Agincourt. I think I mentioned this on the show before, but the French commander at Agincourt, he's the Duke of somewhere in France. I forget like his title, but he was such a skilled athlete that he could climb up the underside of a ladder in full plate armor,
which is wild.
So like. Absolutely insane. Apparently, every day to keep himself in shape, he would run a mile in his armor just to like for fun.
It's something I really want to do is genuinely just like try on. Not even like chainmail would be cool, but especially like a kind of full plate armor, just to get a feel for. Obviously, it's heavy, but I've always heard that in some ways it is surprisingly actually like maneuverable. Like a proper set that's all kind of like lobstered and jointed and whatnot like that. You're maneuverable. It's just fucking heavy.
Yeah, I think it'd be a feat of endurance to like move around in it for any length of time. So I've done running training where I strapped even just like 7 or 8 kilos to my body. So I had like weights in my hands. I had a heavy backpack. I had like a belt that I'd strapped some weights
closest
to.
I've got to that is diving.
It was fucking
closest
tough.
I've got is
really
diving
tough.
with weights, which is grim when you're on the surface, but then obviously as soon as you're underwater, it takes all of that weight off you. So I've gone diving with about 30 pounds of weight. So what's that? Probably about 15-ish kilos.
Let's say about 15 kilos.
Whenever I go running, I've always got some extra weight with me.
Yeah, very good.
Oh, that's not true, Spray. But
anyway.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk more about Knights, Doctor, when you eventually get Knights.
I believe that's next mission.
Oh, terrific! I love Knights.
Because I think we've got one more mission, and then we've got the final siege. I think we actually might have some Knights on the final siege as well. Because But the final siege is like that pig one. We just need to finish off here, actually. We've nearly done it. For some reason, he's got these horse, which he's just holding back here, so... Yeah, this shows you for defensiveness, siege engines are just the shit, because they're cheap and easy to produce. Weirdly, so both the devices and the engineers... Oh, what the fuck? I've bollocksed it. There we go. And both engineers and the devices they man only need gold to produce, so you don't need anything else. So you can just kind of keep producing them easily. They have unlimited ammunition, they have exceptional range and power. They're just... If you're defending a spot, they are all you need.
Handy.
You've certainly proven that.
And that's why, like, you know, sometimes when it has you defend the castle, it doesn't give you access to them. But now we can build towers and things and stuff like that. Like, there's a reason why it's only just now giving us round towers and siege equipment and stuff like that. Because it is just kind of OP for the kind of static defense that this game often wants you to do.
Are you going to dig out the moat again?
No, this is the final battle. We've just got to take out these horse down here. We were just...
Ride out, my lord. Ride out and meet them.
Ride out? Have I got... I should be haven't got the ability to build knights. No.
You must have some swords.
I've got swordsmen,
swordsmen somewhere. Do they just die very easily?
No, they're just not as maneuverable, so it's challenging to, you know, keep them alive. Let's... What swordsman have I got? Oh, the knights are on the move.
Oh, he's come to meet you anyway.
Run them through.
I thought they were going to go, just taunting them.
Yeah.
and they really just stand there.
Yeah, the AI is not great in this game.
Oh dear. I feel bad for the horsies.
If it helps, they're sprites.
Also, that sound of the horse dying is a stock sound effect, which is in fucking everything, and once you hear it, you cannot unhear it, and it's everywhere, and I hate it. They kept using it in House of the Dragon, and it's infuriating to me.
Only lost 10% of your troops.
Not bad, yeah, and that was basically just some of the archers that it gave me from the start. Wonderful, and that can just be a single episode. That's easier for you then, right?
Woo! That makes a nice change.
Crushed it.
So thanks very much, everyone. Thanks for listening. Give us a shout. Let us know what you're enjoying in particular and whether or not the Bard is giving enough history or if you need more.
I don't know that I've got more to give. I have nothing more to give.
You've always got more to give, Bard. You're such a caring person. So thanks very much.
Oh.
You've been watching Stronghold with the Infamous Gentleman. Good day.